For the very best in music, information, entertainment and education. Stay locked onto UNICAL Radio International, 103.5 FM.
fade. There is no time to waste. I've got that lightning inside me. This is how legends are made.
11:21 a.m. on the DOT, and you're welcome to 103.5 FM UNICAL Radio International.
This is how legends are made.
In a world offering rushes, we pause to seek the clarity, the courage, and keep understanding what helps us navigate the profound truth of our time. This is more than an interview. Yes, this is more than an interview. It is an invitation to look beyond the surface, to examine the foundations of our beliefs, and to consider the weight of the moment. We are here to explore ideas that truly matters, ideas that shape society, redefine the human spirit, and challenge us toward growth. Today, we have the immense privilege of speaking with a voice of remarkable depth and insight, someone whose work illuminates the essential journey in the academic field. This is only exclusively on 103.5 UNICAL Radio International. I am Michelle Idonwesa. I'll be your host for this interview. And I was super thrilled to meet my guest. But wait, before I introduce my guest to you, I also want you to meet him through his profile. So join me as I introduce to you the one, the only Professor Anthony Ebebe Eyang. I hope I called that correctly. Now, Professor Anthony Eyang joined the Department of English and Literary Studies, University of Calabar, in 1998 as a graduate assistant. He had his master's degree and Doctor of Philosophy in 2002 and 2006, respectively, both from the Department of English and Literary Studies, University of Calabar, where he is currently a professor of literary stylistics. His research interest is in stylistics, that is, the application of linguistic skills in the interrogation of literature, African poetry, and African American poetry. Professor Anthony teaches and supervises students at both the undergraduate and postgraduate levels. He has successfully supervised master's and doctoral theses and is engaged in the supervision of ongoing researches. He has delivered a number of public lectures and currently serves as a Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic. Professor Anthony has been chairman of ARCIL UNICAL branch from 2014 to 2019, and is also the Dean of Student Affairs from 2020 to 2024. Professor Anthony is the university orator since 2018 and has publications in reputable foreign and local journals. He has organized local conferences and attended many conferences, including the African Literature Association and the Poetics and Linguistics Association, both of which he is a member. Now, my dear listeners, I want you to please join me as I introduce my guest and the person of Professor Anthony Eyang. It is good to have you here, Prof.
Thank you very much for that very warm introduction. All those listening to us out there, it's my pleasure to be on with you, at least to share a few words about the 148th inaugural lecture that will be presented by me on Wednesday, the 5th of November, 2025. It's a lecture titled Wisdom from the Lower Kingdom, the Moral Universe, and Stylistic Paradigms in Anthropomorphic Literature. It's my pleasure to be here.
We are super excited, Prof. So, Prof, before we delve into academics, it's the weekend, I'll say, and I hope your weekend is actually starting off right.
Yes, to start on the note of previewing my lecture and having a conversation around it, it's a beautiful way of getting myself set for that lecture and to have, let me say, an intellectual weekend.
Awesome. So let's delve a little bit away from academics. So besides academics, what is one thing you would love to do on the weekend?
Weekend, I like visiting, like walking around, like reminding myself that yes, I'm part of nature, walking around my neighborhood, looking at everything that happens and reminding myself again that I owe my society a duty. I owe nature also a duty. And we going on Shanksmere as a way of putting it figuratively, it's one of those things that I love, and also exercising myself.
Awesome. So let's dig into this. First of all, we want to say congratulations on your upcoming inaugural lecture.
Thank you.
But please, can you share with us how your academic journey started?
Okay.
And what motivated you to stay on this part?
Oh, yeah, I've had quite a journey that I say has been blessed by God. Of course, using people right from my primary, secondary, and even university level, to give it shape and inspiration. I started here, as you said, in 1998, but my admission to the University of Calabar was in 1992 to 96, and after then, I worked briefly with Voice of Nigeria after my NYSC as a presentation officer. And then I left there to join the University of Calabar as a graduate assistant in 1998, had my master's degree in 2002 and Ph.D. in 2006, as you said earlier. And the people I have met along the way have been very inspiring, both at the secondary, university, first degree, second, and even the Ph.D. level. I've had quite enormous support and inspiration from people, most of whom I didn't even know. So I owe them a debt of gratitude. And I'm happy that I have the opportunity of being a professor and also being DVC and other roles that I have played in the system. And also that I'll be paying my intellectual debt to the university community or academic community on the 5th of November by way of presentation of the 148th inaugural lecture.
Awesome. That's quite a journey, I would say. Okay, Prof, your work in anthropomorphic literature is quite fascinating.
Thank you.
Can you tell us what drew you to this topic?
Okay, thank you. I grew up right in the village. I call myself a village boy before I came to the university in 1992.
Right.
And as I was going through the secondary school and with all the jerkiness then, I was into fishing also with my father, going to the farm to do some work with my mother. And I listened to the proverbs said about animals, and I was very fascinated as a young kid, wondering which animal said this, could an animal have said that? I wasn't very privileged to watch children's cartoons and literature on television and all of that, but it was very fascinating that I could see animals. And of course, what was said about them was actually very apt in the sense that the animals behaved in a way that such ascriptions of those things, was correct. So as I came to the university and particularly began to teach some aspects of African literature, the oral aspects of literature, even though my area is in literary linguistics, I should say, or literary stylistics, it fascinated me. And I also have come to see that there is so much arrogance in a lot of people. They have to be reminded that, look, to be wise, you need to bend. You need to bend and remind yourself that you can, get wisdom even from animals. If you can get wisdom from animals, learn lessons from animals, then you can also learn lessons from other humans who may not be privileged to be at the same level with you. So the inspiration from my students, encountering animals in text, reminded me of my upbringing, and I said, wow, we're talking of books, canons, and so on, by African writers, yes, by English writers, American writers, and other writers of the world, but there are texts that have been written by us here.
Yeah.
And we have the bush, we have the nature, trees, and animals particularly, that have said a lot through their acts, through their traits, through their actions, and so on and so forth. So I felt, let this be a contribution to the development of our culture, all right, and of course our literature, by exploring what animals say. So anthropomorphic literature is the literature that endows human qualities of agency, of intentions, of yes, independence, of the capacity to even philosophize, all that ascribed to animals. And of course, I see that from these, we know that animals really contribute. They teach us a lot. They contribute in their own way, to enriching nature, to enriching humanity. And that is it's an intentional thing by God. And it is worthy for us to look at the literature that features animals. That is anthropomorphic literature.
Thank you so much, Prof, for that. I would say very deep explanation. Because yes, I was about coming to you saying, let's enlighten our, just enlighten our listeners, because they will be thinking, what is this big grammar Prof is just, distributing here and there. And yes, you've actually thrown in more light to help us know that anthropomorphic literature is actually where we give characteristics of humans to animals. Mm-hmm. And so, yes, we really are, we are grateful to learn from you. So, and also thank you for also letting us, because I was about to ask what our audience can take home from your lecture. And you made mention of wisdom. Now, we can actually learn wisdom from the animals, and that's quite fascinating.
Yes.
Okay, now let's move on a little bit to the topic of this lecture. It says wisdom from the lower kingdom, the moral universe and stylistics paradigms in anthropomorphic literature. Now I want you to explain to us, please, what do you mean by the lower kingdom, and how do you see it relating to human morality?
Thank you very much. That is the heart of the lecture. It is that in linear taxonomy, I'm going to simplify it.
Okay.
Yes, humans and all animals are in the animal kingdom, right?
Yes.
Yes. But the way man has behaved, or the way man behaves, presupposes that he considers himself to be above, the animals, right? Yeah. Because of the intelligence that evolution has privileged humans, and because of also the ability to handle tools, the ability to philosophize, the ability to also speak in a language, or to have a language.
Yeah.
Yes, it has meant that all other aspects of nature are below man. So all the other aspects of nature are considered in this lecture as the lower kingdom, including animals.
Yeah.
But there are things, of course, that we learn from non-human entities, such as animals in particular in the context of this lecture.
Yeah.
So we are saying in this lecture that animals are seen to come under that lower kingdom. And I'm putting a question sign to it to suggest that both animals, so both humans and non-human animals belong to the same kingdom. And so if they belong to the same kingdom, not just because we belong to the same kingdom, if animals are on the lower kingdom, we can also learn some lessons from there, from the things that are ascribed to them, as I mentioned earlier, arising from their action, arising from the things they do. So that is the heart of the matter. Yes, supposedly there is a lower kingdom, there is an upper kingdom, and of course, the way man has behaved in a manner that suggests that all of nature is under him. When I mean man here, I'm being generic. All of nature is under him. Man has a soul, humans have a soul, humans have rights, and so on, presupposing that animals do not have. So it has meant the mindless exploitation of nature with very devastating consequences. So when we focus our attention on the fact that animals also can be wise, animals also can contribute by the way they act, they have agency, we are more or better position to consider their place in the ecosystem, their place in nature. So the lecture topic itself is couched in a way that shows that we can learn, man can learn from the lower kingdom, that is from animals. So the entire lecture itself is structured in a way that shows how literature has featured animal characters as agents, and of course the rich, the wealth of knowledge that can be gained from that, which is also expressive or a reflection of how indigenous societies, indigenous peoples, use animals as a way of teaching, as a way of reflecting, themselves. Yes, their own concerns about life generally.
Thank you so much. Okay, my dear listeners, I hope you are picking out these vital lessons and I hope you're jotting it down. Well, if you just joined us, we are actually having a pre-inaugural lecture conversation with Professor Anthony Eyang right here on 103.5 FM, UNICAL Radio International. Okay, back to you, Prof. Now you have given us insight to what the lecture is going to be about. Also, I want to find out, how do you believe that this anthropomorphic literature can shape the understanding of human ethics?
Yes, it can really shape human ethics and human morality, because literature itself plays a key role in society of reflecting human concerns and also teaching some lessons.
Yeah.
So if we have a literature or a text, you call it maybe folklore or a fable,
Yeah.
there are certain lessons that it teaches about perseverance, about resilience, about sacrifice, as we are going to see in the number of instances that are going to be referred to in literature, our own African literature,
Yeah.
or even Indian literature, or African American literature, or even the literature of the West Indies, that's West Indian or Caribbean literature. So we are going to get snippets, quote some texts that are very important, which feature animal characters, and how all those characters, yes, teach one lesson or the other. So from those animal characters that we have in literature, there are great lessons that can be learned, and those lessons can help in strengthening morality.
Awesome. Okay, now let's take a little shift from that and see how these characters, these animal characters, can help us, or this literature can help us reflect on our own behavior and relationship with others.
Yes, actually, essentially, as literature, they reflect human character, they reflect a human dilemma, human phenomenon generally, and of course, it shows the choices that are available, or the choices that human beings face in general. But here, the animals may represent humans. They may represent humans because we know that they do not have the capacity to speak. They do not have, in a language, of course, that we can understand or access, or they do not have the capacity to philosophize, so we think. But there is something about them. There is something about them. And it is that in understanding that thing about animals, we become closer to nature. We learn more. And we know that that nature is more stable when every organism matters, because every organism plays a key role in the stability of the ecosystem. Okay. So it is that anthropomorphic literature offers us a window not just into the animal world, but into a greater understanding of ourselves as humans, the problems that we encounter in life, and how we can be better armed with morals and basic wisdom to navigate the situations or the problems that we have.
Okay, Prof. So, well, besides the fact that you grew up in a, closer to nature, is there a particular book or books that you have read that actually inspired you to go into this part of literature?
In fact, the very first thing was the Bible as I grew up. Yes, where of course in the Bible, God, enjoins us to learn from the ants, to learn from the animals,
Sure.
to learn from the fish or fishes, and so on. That was even the very first thing. And of course, the very first anthropomorphic tale, let me call it a tale within the context of this lecture.
Okay.
Yeah, is the allegory in the Bible, yes, of the serpent that speaks. The serpent, of course, that tempted Adam and Eve. Yes, and several other things in the Bible, of course, illustrative of the wisdom of ants, the wisdom of other animals, grasshoppers, insects, yes, and so on, including the lion and other animals. So I didn't read the text growing up, yes, to get to know that animals, are intelligent. Yes. Well, I would say the aphorisms, that's the adages or animal proverbs that were used then and still being used now, of course, were enough to make me understand that animals have a place just much more than what we consider them to be, maybe source of protein, that they also yes, have a lot to offer us in terms of knowledge and wisdom.
Thank you. So we should stop considering animals as just source of protein, but we should see them as, the lower kingdom in which humans can actually benefit and also learn something from them. Okay, Prof. So before we end this conversation, I want to, ask, what should people expect from the lecture on Wednesday? This lecture is on the 5th of November.
Yes.
Yes. So what should they expect?
Well, they should expect from me an explanation about how or what we learn as humans, what we learn from animals, what we learn from the literature that features animals, what are the qualities of such literature, and in what ways has such literature contributed to the knowledge system generally, and what is the relationship between language and literature, and at the same time, what is the relationship between literature, language, and society. So these are the things that I intend to explain, but we will not be going into texts that are far off. We have those that are just here with us, as I mentioned earlier. We have aphorisms or adages or proverbs about animals, with what animal says what, and how is that relevant to, or how is that a reflection of human experience. So those are the things that I would like to dwell on, while also explaining how literature generally, contributes to strengthening our moral fiber, or the moral fiber of society, and what is the relationship between literature and society. So it's not going to be there'll be no technical jargons. Forget that the topic suggests it's going to be so. We've broken it down. It is about what we learn from animal kingdom. Is that? Yes. And what idea or does that give us about the nature of language? Yes. About the nature of literature, and about how language has been used in such text, be it fable, be it a play, be it these folkloric aspects such as aphorisms and adages and proverbs that are mentioned. How has language, been used there in order to give expression to those thoughts, to those emotions, and to those values that can really add up to making us morally strong, and for us to live a life that is responsible, and that for us to become more aware of our responsibility to the environment. Yes, because climate change is real, and of course the impunity that comes with man thinking that he is supreme and is above all nature, has come with a lot of consequences. So it is to say, oh man or woman, please calm down your high horse and learn from the animals and learn from the insects. Low as you may think that they are, they provide a lot. That's what I'm trying to say here. So wisdom from the lower kingdom, we mean yes, there can be wisdom even from the lowest person in society, so that It is not just lower kingdom as in animals. Can also be from those who are not privileged. And of course, you know that it is when you bend that you are able to even jump.
Oh, wisdom. Don't leave me. It says it's only when you bend that you can even jump. Right, Prof? Thank you so much. It has actually been an absolute brilliant and captivating conversation right here with distinguished Professor Eyang. And thank you so much, sir, for shedding light on your fascinating work, particularly on how the moral universe and the stylistic paradigms reveal wisdom from the lower kingdom. So my dear listeners, I hope you're not just going to see the lower kingdoms as just protein, as Prof put it in quotes. Yes, so your insights truly challenge us to look at the world differently. To be sincere, I'm going to look at the world. I've looked at animals differently, not just as protein, because the Bible gave us the, go ahead to learn from the ants and all. But now I'm going to look at both the sheep, the cows, the goats, and all of that differently.
Fine.
Yes.
So from the lecture, I expect what I think people should expect is what animal says what. Yes, what the snake says. Yes, from our culture.
Okay.
Yes, and our communities. What the bird says, what the tortoise says,
okay,
what the goat or he goat or she goat says, what the fish says, and so on. And we have quite a number of those aphorisms, which are a reflection of the cultural wisdom of our people. And that yes, we have a lot to contribute to the world, through our oral literature, through our fables, through our animal proverbs and other proverbs. They form part of the knowledge system of the people, and we can project that. And the way language has been used to project that is also very important in this text. So expect people, to look up, for that in the presentation.
Yes, I'm already seeing myself there. Sure, read this conversation. Prof, you took me back to the classroom of literature. You just took me back to the classroom. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
Yes, and to you, my dear listeners, see, this is your weekend directive. Don't just ponder these deep questions. I want you to engage with them. You have heard from a luminary in his field. You are invited to witness history in the University of Calabar. Now, this event or this lecture is going to take place. It is the 148th inaugural lecture, and it is scheduled on Wednesday, the November 5th. The topic, the powerful title, of course, is Wisdom from the Lower Kingdom, the Moral Universe and Stylistic Paradigm in Anthropomorphic Literature. And it will take place at the Goswell Akpabio International Conference Center, University of Calabar. It is going to be more than a lecture. It is going to be a profound academic and cultural event for our community and, of course, for the University of Calabar. So this is your opportunity to sit at the feet of a master or in the presence of Professor Anthony E. Eyang and explore the deep moral lessons hidden in the stories we often overlook. Go support this academic milestone. Okay, I'm still your wonderful host. Of course, I remain your favorite radio buddy, Michelle E. Domerset. And coming up next, I'll be leaving it in the hands of the listeners' library. So keep your weekend momentum going. Do not go anywhere, do not touch the frequency, and do not touch that dial. I'm saying do have an amazing weekend.